Welcome aboard the New Patient Group flight deck. Less chaos. Check. Less stress. Check. Less advertising costs. Check. More personal and financial freedom. Check. All right, business checklist completed. Let the takeoff roll begin. Welcome to Season 7 of the New Patient Group Audio Experience, a podcast dedicated to forward-thinking doctors wanting to learn innovative ways to run their business today so your practice can achieve new heights tomorrow. And now your host. He's the founder and CEO of New Patient Group, managing partner of RightChat, and a trusted motivational speaker for Invisalign, OrthoFi, and others. Brian Wright.
Hey, New Patient Group and RightChat Nation. Welcome inside the broadcast booth. Brian Wright here, and welcome in to another edition of the New Patient Group podcast as we are getting closer and closer to wrapping up Season 7. As many of you know, we don't do podcast episodes in December. That is a reset of our brains, looking forward to the following year, coming up with new ideas for our customers, our family members, and also reviewing our vision and reviewing the year for us and things that we're proud of, things that we know that we need to get better at, to keep driving our customers forward, keep offering a better experience, and making sure our vision for all of you out there, some of you know it, some of you don't. And remember, a vision is not a mission statement. A vision is something you are always trying to accomplish in the future. It's never something that you're going to be satisfied with. It's not a finish line that you're ever going to get there. Mission statements are more in the moment. Vision statements are more what you're always trying to accomplish in the future. All of you should have one. Hopefully, I have it as part of my podcast notes on when I don't know when I'm going to do it, but it is out there all around a vision, a mission, the difference between the two, why a vision is far more important. And our vision as a company is we believe companies at their finest in any industry place their employee and their customer experiences ahead of their product or service. Now, that does not mean, for those of you who are newly checking into this, that does not mean that you shouldn't be trying to be the best clinician, trying to be the best chef, right? All that is something that you strive for, and that is part of an experience. But to dominate whatever industry you're in, the experiences for your team members, your employees, and your customers, the non-clinical experiences, the non-food experiences, that is how you create famous companies, right? So for those of you out there, if you combine amazing clinical skill sets with just absolutely unsurpassed non-clinical skill sets, experiences, constantly working on your culture, constantly having a growth mindset to get better and train your people in a way to interact with your customer better, you will crush people without having to advertise. Matter of fact, when times are tough and the economy's down like it's been, the last thing you want to do is advertise when people don't have money to spend, right? The constant focus is what can I do better inside my doors to plug the leaky holes that every business has, whether you're great or you're not. Every business has leaky holes everywhere. And today we're going to be diving in. I wanted to wait until we just had our New Patient Group, our second MPG Iconic, but it was our very first treatment coordinator Iconic. And it was absolutely incredible. The feedback was amazing. The TCs all say, hey, can please have one again in 2025. Best event for it. Not only am I going to get the skill sets to be a better treatment coordinator, but I'm also going to be a better person. I've learned how to advance my career forward. I'm a better leader going back into my practice environment. And this is an event it's never existed before anywhere in the orthodontic profession, dental, beyond. It does not exist. And this is, again, our everything we do is trying to bring outside of your healthcare bubble expertise and bring it inside your doors so you can be unique. So you can showcase why you're 7,000 and the other 5 opinions are 6 or 5, right? Why are you more? How can you convert convert more at a higher price? And I wanted to wait until we were done with this most recent Iconic to do this. This is a topic that I've been studying hard for many, many years. It's something that I've become more and more obsessed with over the past year or two. It was one of the visions I originally had when starting New Patient Group. That's the reason why the word group, as a matter of fact, is in the name, is because of mutuality and cognitive training. And that's going to be the topic today. I am currently reading a book, and I'll put it in the description below. And the book is talking about neuroplasticity, and it's a very interesting topic to me because within that topic, it talks about the fastest and best ways to get new information inside somebody's brain, completely absorbed to the point where they can actually go and deliver it, is repetition. Now, repetition, it's funny. It's just like for those football fans out there, I always use this analogy. When your team drafts an offensive lineman, nobody gets excited, even though anybody that knows anything about football knows that arguably it's even more important than the quarterback position. The offensive line is critical to the foundation of a successful offense and a successful team in general. But even people who know that don't necessarily get excited whenever their team drafts an offensive lineman. It's like, it's just not as sexy as the hot wide receiver, right? The number one prospect, or the quarterback, or the defensive back. It's just not as sexy. And the things that will grow your business out there are the same way. They're not sexy. Accountability, repetition, consistency, role plays. And I could keep going on and on and on and on and on about that stuff. They're not sexy words. They're not words that you get up in the morning and it gets you excited, right? But the reality is those things are tough to do. There's a lot of team pushback whenever it happens. But the reality is, and this neuroplasticity and the psychology and the neurons and just the way the brain works, it is really intriguing to me, and it's becoming more and more intriguing to me, all the science and psychology, because these are things that I have believed in and taught for years. So the more I become obsessed with it and the more I see work, the more I want to bring information to all of you, because if you're looking to get implementation, if you're looking to have real change happen, the number one word that you need to embed into your culture, into your organization, and it's the best marketing investment you will ever have, is repetition. No matter how hard it is, repetition wins over every other form of marketing, period. And that is not Brian Wright's philosophy. That is not Brian Wright's opinion. That is science. That is psychology talking, and I'm simply following it. And years ago, when we started New Patient Group, I was coming up with all these different names, and, eventually I came to New Patient Group, and I have that word group in there, like I said, for mutuality. And let me talk to you about what this is and why I wanted to wait until after our most recent Iconic. That was, for those of you out there that are customers that haven't come to it yet, we're going to have 2 next year. It's going to be one all for clinical assistants, which is going to be an amazing event. Everybody listening, if you really want change to happen after people sign the contract, shorter appointments, more efficient appointments, better compliance, not as many unnecessary appointments, learning how to turn your patients into fans, increase in Google reviews, a growth in your GP referrals. Our existing patient experience is awesome. It is totally out of the box, but makes so much sense. And we've had so much success in the practices that have implemented it well. That's what that's going to all be about. We're going to teach assistants how to get more out of their life, be a better team member, a better leader, and be a better clinical assistant, because 90% of their job, even though it seems they're a part of the clinical team, well, they are, but 90% of what they do every day has nothing to do with orthodontics, et cetera, at all. Clinical. It is hospitality driven. It is how to have a conversation. It's communication, presentation, verbiage, sales, psychology. And whenever you hear that, it's what to say, when to say, why to say, how to say, all those things. It is so critical for them to have those skill sets, no different than the rest of your team, if you want to maximize your efficiency on the clinical side. So it is going to be an amazing event, and it's going to be targeted at the same things this mutuality and cognitive training are. Now, let's start with mutuality. So the vision and what I wanted New Patient Group to become was a group of like-minded individuals that thought very differently than everybody else. And that has panned out to be true. It is why we have so many if you see the doctor speaking on stage and you're watching, they're probably a New Patient Group and or Right Chat customer. And we have attracted the biggest names in this industry, as well as just names that you don't know, but are just as much forward thinkers as those big names that speak on stage. And we've done so through the philosophies of what we teach. And part of this is this mutuality. So the group in the New Patient Group is, I wanted that group of like-minded people that thought very differently than everybody else. And I wanted them to be together almost as like they work as one practice, one company, even though they don't. And I wanted them all to push each other and advance each other on the clinical side of the practice and also the business. And when those two things happen, right, the better chef you become and the more out of the box you think with how you plate the food and the ingredients you use and how they're sourced, right? The better you become at that, and also the better the experiences the team provide at the table and over the phone and on your digital marketing presence, blah, blah, blah. That is how you become famous in your community, everybody. That's the recipe. Being great at what you do and also being great at the experiences around what you do. That's the recipe. Unfortunately, most companies spend too much time obsessing over their product and they screw their customer without even knowing it. Okay? And there's all kinds of examples I could sit here and give. But just like you going to the gym, you are going to be in better shape if you have 3, 4, 5 people that have the same goal in mind, right? It could be to lose body fat and get really ripped. It could be to put on weight and get bulkier. It could be to be able to run farther and build up your cardio endurance, whatever it may be. If you are with a group of people that are like-minded, trying to accomplish the same goal, you are more likely to reach it. You're more likely to reach it quicker. You're more likely to reach it in a more efficient way. And they will help hold you accountable on those days that you just don't want to do it, right? And you can all relate to this. 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You know, my alarm, I don't need one anymore, but I'm usually up at about 4:30, 5 o'clock at the latest. I go into the kitchen. I have my multivitamins and superfood drinks and everything. I have a cup of coffee with some coconut in it and some turmeric spices. I have that, and then I work out on an empty stomach. That's on purpose. There's all kinds of studies now that are out around anti-aging and muscle development, et cetera, HGH, growth development, all that stuff, that if you work out on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, it is so good for you. Now, it took me a long time to get my body used to it, but I still know that if I did that and there was a group of people I was working out with, I would be taken to the next level and beyond. Okay. And also, there are mornings where you wake up and you just don't want to do it, right? Whatever it is. I'm just using working out as an example. And I find for all of you out there to be the best podcast host, to be the best coach, to be the best CEO, the best visionary, I find personal well-being as the number one investment, whether that be constantly reading books or what I put in my body, etc. For all of you, you deserve me to be at the highest possible levels mentally and physically. But there are days we don't want to do stuff. And that is the days where the group environment can really hold you accountable, because now you're not letting them down, or you're not letting yourself down, you're letting them down. And you show up to the gym when you otherwise wouldn't. So this mutuality is exactly that. It's surrounding yourself with people. And unfortunately, a lot of you out there in this industry, you do the opposite. You either isolate yourself or you surround yourself with people that will actually bring you down. Like, this mutuality isn't just positivity, right? If you surround yourself with a group of people that constantly are talking about, my patients no-show, they're terrible, or they just want a cheap price, they're terrible, or the DSO down the street is the reason I'm failing, and the competition is the reason why the industry's down, and they're constantly talking this way, you need to get the hell away from those people as fast as possible. Because the reality is if you just take care of you, and you constantly improve the experiences for yourself, your team, and your customer, your patients, you're going to kick everybody's ass. But it's such a mindset change, and there's too many people in here that are in the industry that talk about things that are what they are. Like, you can't control them. It's just going to change your state, which is going to affect your mood, which is going to piss off yourself, your whole team. It's going to create a bad culture. Your numbers are going to suffer because of it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the mutuality piece is you've got to do it together. Now, one of the reasons I'm talking about this today around these two topics is the way New Patient Group works and the way it's panned out is we have these various ways team members can get together. And we have diverse ways and repetition built into that. Now, that is cognitive training that I'm going to get to here in just a second. And it's something that all of you out there need to improve in. Whether you become a customer of ours and we help you develop this and we bring this to your organization, or you're a podcast listener that has convinced themselves you can do it on your own, these are topics that in 2025, you really, really, really need to focus on. All right. So what we do, we have these live boot camp sessions, and that's where a bunch of our customers come together, a specific topic, right? It could be overcoming price increase on the phone. It could be a digital workflow topic in the exam room, whatever it may be. Those are just two examples of many. And we hit 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions in a row online, an hour each, really hard with role plays and discussion topics. And again, it's a group environment coming together to work out. But this just happens to be on their skill sets as far as what they bring back to your practice, right? Very powerful, because again, the group holds each other accountable. When you're in session 3 of a topic, right, the other team members can see, are you getting better or are you the same as you were topic 1, right? In session 1. And that session 1 could have been a couple weeks ago. So this group environment is just amazing. And that's one of the visions I had for our MPG Iconic event. Is, do we get some outside the new patient group family members come to it? Yeah. But the vast majority of people that are coming are ones that are already investing in us from a private client standpoint on the coaching and or digital marketing that we do. And the cool part about this is, again, is it's now creating, we've had our doctor mastermind group for many years now. And we have once a year, it's a spouse and doctor event. In 2025, we're going to Scottsdale. This past year, we're in San Luis Obispo in California. Every year, the environment changes, but we come together as a group. And the bond is so amazing that's created over the years. And as this bond is created, the doctors interact on the chat threads more. They can hold each other accountable. They can get after each other. They can push each other. They can say, hey, look, this case can be done with Invisalign as an example. I know you don't think so, but you don't think so maybe because you haven't had the CE like me. Let me show you how it can be done. So clinically and other areas as well on the clinical side, as well as the business, right? As well as life. And of course, we're there to direct it and guide it and all of that stuff. But there's so many different group environments that we've created now with the employees that, and we're going to launch our treatment coordinator mastermind. We've got new Slack channels bringing our employees together. And like I said, we've got all these different arenas where people can meet in person. They can watch each other role play. They can interact on the chat threads. They can see each other on Zoom. And it's like this gigantic family. And it's so awesome because it brings your employees. One of the things you have to watch is that when you're in the 8 to 5, 9 to 5 rut, and your employees are in that rut too, they lose complete perspective on what's going in the industry. All this new economy stuff that we talk about, people shopping, calling 5 or more practices before deciding which to schedule, shopping, going inside 3 or more practices before make a buying decision, less attention span than a goldfish, according to Microsoft, more than 10,000 marketing messages people hear every given day, according to Forbes. All the video stats that you talk about, 1 minute of video is worth 1.8 million words now because people can retain 95% of what they see in a video compared to only 10% via an audio experience only, a text message, your assistant's talking chairside as an example would be another one. The power of video is real. And all of these things create the new economy. But whenever you're locked inside your door every day, and then in combination, if you surround yourself with the wrong people, you're going to completely lose perspective on the reality of why everything you do, if you want to thrive in this new economy, has to be different. Now, I view it as a good thing because so few people will change that the ones who do and the ones who implement the things that we teach, you will kick ass. It doesn't mean that you're going to have your greatest year every year, but it does mean that you'll recession-proof your business. When the industry's down 10%, you could be up 5%, right, without advertising. When the industry's up 10, you're up 20 or 30 without advertising, right? It's recession-proofing your organization. So this mutuality is a real thing, and I really encourage and challenge all of you out there in your personal lives, employees in your career, and doctors in your businesses, to surround yourself with people that are going to take you outside your comfort zone, are going to constantly challenge you, right? We are not yes people, right? We are there to challenge you and get you to think differently. And that's what great entrepreneurs do. They're always ahead of the curve. And that's partly what I do every December when we kind of take a break, if you will. We're really not taking a break. We're just taking a break from the public eye, if you will. But in December, I try not to travel as much. This year's a little bit different. December is going to be a lot of travel. That is what it is. We've closed a lot of coaching customers. We have a lot of on-site workshops happening. But usually it's a little bit less travel, really no events and things like that, and no podcasts, because what we're doing is, like I said, we're resetting the vision. We are making sure that we are accomplishing that vision for us and all of you. And it's just something that we have to just take a break, even though we're not taking a break. We're just working in a very different way. And all of you out there, you've got to surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you, are going to make you think differently, are going to help you get to an end goal, an end result of whatever you want your business, your practice to look like, whatever you want your life to look like, employees, whatever you want your career to look like. Isolating yourself is an awful thing to do. You know, I did a workshop for a pedo-ortho practice combination a few months ago. And when I get there, the orthodontist didn't even know what an iTero machine was. The pedo had never heard of one either, which if the pedo's listening, you need to have an iTero machine and you need to implement our pedo program using that iTero machine. Your conversion numbers will go nuts. Topic definitely for another time. But those are people as an example that the only thing they do is stuff with each other, like the pedo and the ortho. They go to dinner together, blah, blah, blah. They're not involved in groups that take them into today's economy, the new economy. So that's mutuality. And it's a really, really, really powerful thing when you bring your employees together with other team members, when you bring yourself together with other doctors that are holding each other accountable. It's a real thing. Now, in combination with mutuality, you have cognitive training. And I believe, so there's a lot of things, I spend my life, and this is in other industries as well, and I truly love it, because if I didn't love it, I would just bang my head so hard against the wall, I'd concuss myself, and I'd probably just give up. But I do truly love going around, and what I do for a living is mindset change. And for a lot of you in the healthcare bubble, changing your mindset is not easy. And it's for a lot of reasons. Some of you run really bad businesses and still make a ton of money and convince yourself that you've got everything figured out. Other of you wait until your practice and your business is tanking and then go seek help. And what you don't realize is at that point, it's like a patient waiting until they feel pain, right? It doesn't mean that it can't be fixed. Doesn't mean that you can't get out of pain. It's just going to take a lot longer and a much more of a larger financial investment in order to get out of the pain and get the problems corrected. And it's the same thing for business, everybody. Once you're in decline and then you go seek help, that's like the patient waiting to be in pain. And this is why when you're doing well, that's when you go out and seek help. That's when you invest. Just like if you're doing well, that's when you get business loans. You never want a business loan when you're not doing well. Your rate's going to suck. You're not going to get the money you want. And it's kind of an ironic thing with loans is that the people who really need them can't get them. This is why when you have profit, your business is rolling, you should always seek loans. And then as long as that loan can go out and either get you the cash flow to survive as for a long time, or go out and be invested, and that investment produces a higher return than the interest rate on the loan, you should always do it. Always do it. That's how you leverage debt to create wealth. Every billionaire on the planet uses debt to create wealth. They leverage debt to create wealth. Back to the point on cognitive training. So what cognitive training talks about, the science of it, the psychology, is all around repetition in diverse environments. So what I wanted, and this was, again, when we founded this almost 12 years ago now, I wanted that mutuality, and then I wanted this cognitive training. At the time, I didn't really even know what the terminologies were. Like, that's how I ran my businesses. I always knew that if I ran a business and mimicked what made athletes great and mimicked what made the famous organizations famous, I wanted to create that and run my companies that way. Why more people can't wrap their head around that, I don't know. Now, it's a harder way to run your company because you're constantly building the culture through training of the leadership, leadership development. You're constantly training your team. Like, it never stops. There is no, okay, finish line. Because once you hit the finish line, if you look at it that way, I guarantee you all, and this is again science and psychology, this is not me talking, you will revert back to how you did it before if you ignore it and you don't keep the repetition going. And for all of you out there, especially the orthodontists that listen, you know all about relapse, right? Teeth go back to how they used to be. Well, one of my favorite topics to talk about is it's not the teeth. That is how our body and our mind is created. So the teeth are going backwards because that's how we're created as humans. We all go backwards. Athlete, if you have a loop in your baseball swing and you work hard to fix it, if you ignore it and you don't stay repetitive with it, the loop will come back. It's guaranteed. Just like the teeth going backwards. This is why all of you can relate to, damn, I thought we had that implemented, and then I listened to a mystery call, or, I found out that we're not doing this or that. It's because humans are designed to go backwards. So if you don't look at repetition as a marketing investment, you will never achieve what you otherwise could achieve while reducing and eventually eliminating the need for outside your door advertising. So the cognitive training I find really cool because let's talk about the diverse environments first. So a lot of you, and this happens to really any business, a lot of you get into this situation where, you have a consultant visit your office as an example. You have a photographer visit your office. You have your meetings inside your office. You get in this, let's stay inside our bubble. And that is the opposite of what the science and the psychology around cognitive training talks about. This is another reason I wanted our live boot camps, our MPG Iconics. And again, it was so cool to see people that have been part of our program for years. The Dr. Rob Schaefer's, the Dr. Matt Josie's, as an example, right? Their treatment coordinators were there. And they've been through a lot of this. But even I was watching Michelle, shout out Michelle, she listens, Rob Schaefer's wife, and she's got like a book this thick of notes. And it just made me happy to go, wow, look how much she's learning. Even though they've been with us, I think, since 2019, look how much information she's taken back for life, career, and the business. And it's really, really cool to see those things. And the reality all of you have to see is that the purpose, again, is the same information that you could learn inside your practice. When that information is delivered in another type of environment outside of your practice, the information can be received as new. The information can be created or delivered in a situation, even by us. Whenever we're delivering an iconic, it's different than how we can present it inside a practice. And these diverse environments of repetition, of hearing these messages, and yeah, a lot of the messages are new, but a lot of it's also delivered in a different way, even though it's the same information, you are going to retain it better. It is the fastest and quickest way for implementation. It's also the fastest and quickest way to make sure that the implementation doesn't go down the toilet, which all of you can relate to, whether it be something new you implemented clinically with the assistants or something on the admin, business side of things. We've all been there where we're like, damn it, I thought this was rolling and now we're not even doing it. Right? That's the equivalent of the teeth going backwards. That's why you need retainers for your whole body. You need it for your business. Right? We're in retention all the time. Anytime you've learned something and you get really great at it, boom, you must go into retention. And part of that is consistently still role-playing it. Repetition. And again, it's an unsexy word. Nobody wants to hear it. Everybody wants to, let's go spend $6,000 a month on pay-per-click. But the second they get their team trained or the things I'm talking about, it's too expensive. But meanwhile, you're missing 3 to 5 missed new patient calls a month during regular business hours. Your conversion on your phase 1 to phase 2 conversion could be better. Your OBS conversion could be better. Your pending treatment follow-up could be redefined. Your receptionist could be completely changed. Your digital workflow could be completely changed. There are leaky holes everywhere that all outproduce anything pay-per-click will ever create for your organization. But you've got to buy in to the repetition. You've got to buy into the cognitive training, no matter how hard it is. And when you take the repetition in diverse environments, like if you guys, I challenge all of you, if you're listening to this podcast today, and let's say you have a park that's a 10-minute walk from your practice, the next time you meet as a team, walk to the park together. Shout out Dr. Matt Josie. He's done this for years, and it's a wonderful idea where he'll take his team members on one-on-one discussions, and he just goes for a walk, right? So it's the same discussion he could have had in a sit-down environment inside the practice, but he's bringing it into a diverse environment. And that is part of what cognitive training talks about. And like I said, that these are things that some of you out there do, and these are things that I did for years, but I actually didn't even know what I was doing. I just thought it was the right way, and I really passionately believed it was the right way. But now, after years of studying and a couple books that I'm into now, this cognitive training and this mutuality is real. So when you look at us and we're coming into the practice to see you in a private fashion, we're flying in there, we're doing private online sessions, but then we're doing that in a repetitive environment. But then we're bringing you into the diverse environments like our iconic events here in Colorado Springs, the live boot camp sessions, and more, just like we bring the doctors into diverse environments with our mastermind meeting we have once a month, the in-person spousal and doctor meeting that we have once a month. And we're going to continually add ways that we can get in front of our customers as much as possible in as many diverse ways as possible to bring this repetition to the table. It is a game changer for all of you. And in 2025, I think we're going to have more podcasts this month, but in case that we don't, because the more I'm doing today's podcast, the more I'm liking this to kind of be the send-off for season 7. So if there's nothing else that comes out, don't be surprised. But this is one of the things that I want you to change the mindset. And going into 2025 is, how can I surround myself by a group of like-minded people that are trying to accomplish something that I want to accomplish? How can I surround myself by people that are going to take me out of my comfort zone to get there, challenge me to think differently, challenge me to be a better leader, challenge me to be a better doctor clinically, challenge my team to be better humans, better at their career, better in ways that are going to help my business? Right? How can I do my digital marketing differently? How can I rethink and reimagine everything going on inside my doors and online from an online marketing standpoint? I challenge you to think that way. And how can I surround and find people like that that are going to do that? Also, how can I make repetition, no matter how hard it is, how can I make repetition a main focal point in my organization? And no matter how many times I have to role play and practice with Susie, she is not only going to be better for it, she is also going to keep things from going backwards. How can I be repetitive in diverse environments, right? How can I take my team to more events? How can I take my team, for a nice lunch, at a nice restaurant? And all of you know how I feel about that, where if you want to be a high-end organization, that's how you want your brand represented. If you want to be high dollar, one of the best marketing investments you'll ever make is taking your team to places that they can't afford. Because if you're going for a table for two for $700, which, by the way, that's what our program teaches, we just happen to bring it in your practice instead of the restaurant. That's who we are. That is what we are trying to do for all of you. Is if you were a restaurant and you charge $700, right? That's an expensive table for two, obviously. That's what we do. We just happen to do that inside the practice environment. It's the same analogy, right? Same analogy. So if you want to be that practice, again, the skill sets that your team has to learn, that's one. But the other one is they have to witness, they have to be part of some of those organizations that will treat them that way. That's when the light bulbs go on to where they can go, oh, okay, I get it, right? Because when they're going to a steakhouse and they're paying $40 for a table for two, that is not the experience that you want for your organization, period. When you are commoditized, when you have this new economy, when you're trying to charge more than the other three opinions, et cetera, the experience has to be what would come with a $700 table for two restaurant, not a table for two that costs $50, right? And if your employees can't ever go experience that, they're never going to understand where you're trying to take your organization. So these three things of mutuality, really two, but two that come with cognitive training, making it three. So mutuality, you got to find that group of people for 2025 that are going to help take you beyond. We can help you. I'm sure other people can too, but we definitely have that group for you, and it's already set up for you to come join us, right? And the cognitive training of repetition, which boy, oh boy, do we bring to the table. Repetition of role plays, discussion topics, culture building items, et cetera, et cetera. There is no bad repetition, but you do have to practice it. Just like an athlete, if they repetitively practice something, but they're practicing the wrong things, not going in the right direction. So you've got to practice the right things in a repetitive environment and then repetitively, and then do so in a diverse environment. Take your people to the park, like I said, in role play. Go rent out a nice little room and have a great lunch together in role play. Okay, do all these things. And through that, you are going to be better for it, and your organization is going to absolutely dominate in 2025 and beyond. So if this is the last podcast of the year, I appreciate we grew the following this year. Man, oh man. Shout out to Dubai, by the way. We've got some followers over there now. And this is just awesome to see this underground cult following just become kind of I guess, above ground now because it's getting so big. And I just want to give one more shout out to the attendees at our treatment coordinator iconic that we had last month. And, I had them all over the house. We had a big treatment coordinator party at the house that was just amazing. If you're watching on YouTube, you've already seen some of that B-roll earlier in this episode, but it was just your attitudes, just being coachable, how you helped each other. I saw some of our more seasoned treatment coordinators really put in wonderful, wonderful feedback, really give that mentorship, that guidance. And again, that goes back to what we always wanted, right? Is have people that have been with us for quite a while. How can they help? We're coaching them obviously, but how can we have people that have been through the grind, been through our program for many years? How can they now become a mentor to other treatment coordinators in this example? And it's the same way with clinical assistants and front desks and concierges and the doctors with each other. It was just amazing. We have Align Summit. Matter of fact, when this podcast comes out, I will be at Align Summit. So make sure to come watch, speak on Friday. Looking forward to seeing the podcast listeners, our customers there. Go have some cocktails, some dinner, all the Align Technology folks. Can't wait to see you there. And we'll have a great summit presentation. That is something I'm going to be doing for the very first time, really focused on after the signed contract, how you can reinvent patient compliance and that whole journey from a non-clinical standpoint when people are in treatment, and it's really going to open up some eyes. But if this is the last podcast, like I said, thanks for following everybody. It means the world. We've really skyrocketed the growth. We continue to gain that following. If there is other ones, I'll say bye to you as well in that one. But if this is the last one, Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year to you. Have a great Thanksgiving as well. And we'll either see you back for another one here in November or for episode 1 of season 8. My goodness, season 8 coming. And we got a really cool one to kick off the year. And it's going to be probably about reimagining growth. There's another one I'm considering, but I believe it's going to be the year you reimagine growth, how to view growth as an entrepreneur rather than a corporation, how to view it as an entrepreneur rather than a business owner. And those are very different things, and look forward to really changing some mindset to kick off season 8. Until then, everybody, I'll see you at Align Summit. Have a great rest of November. We'll talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.